shortly, folks, we will head to the floor of the Republican convention where day 3 is about to kick off. There it is right there. Trump's number 2, JD Vance, is the headline act today. And earlier he held his first campaign event.
I cannot believe an assassin tried to take down the President of the United States. I was mad about it. Was he mad and angry? He called for national unity. He called for calm. He showed leadership, my friends, that the media keeps on saying they want somebody to tone down the temperature. Well, Donald Trump got shot and he toned down the temperature. That's what a real leader does.
Joining us live now is Frank Lavin. He is the Republican and former White House political director under President Reagan. Frank, it's good to see you. Thanks for being with us this morning. So what tone do you expect JD Vance to strike today?
Thank you, Peter. Well, I think it's an open question. This will be his first, this will be his formal introduction. I mean, he's a known figure, but this is his formal introduction as vice presidential candidate. I think we're going to look forward to two main themes. One, he's going to be very Trumpy. He is a convert to the Trump church, so at times he can be more orthodox than his mentor, than Trump himself. So look for him to evoke some core Trump themes, particularly focusing, his background is Ohio industrial belt, so particularly focusing on sort of the forgotten white working class or industrial workers and so forth. So that, I think, is the main thing. The second point is simply a general personality introduction. So if he can inject some humor, some historical references, some elegance to that, so people get a flavor of him personally, introduce his wife, something of that nature. That will also help him define himself with the general population.
Do you think he is the heir apparent for the MAGA movement, Frank?
Well, he might be, but that's several years away, and nobody takes that number 2 job without a view of being number 1 someday. Nobody's ever said my goal in life is to be vice president. So it's certainly in the back of his mind, but the single most important task he has, if he wants to be an heir, is to make sure that Donald Trump is successful. But your question, Peter, is very pertinent, and it'll come to the forefront in about 2 more years after the next round of midterm elections, when people start formally positioning themselves to be the successor.
And do you feel like JD Vance can stay on the same page as Donald Trump?
I think for the first 2 years, yes. For the first 2 years, it is simply being a willing supporter, a force multiplier for the boss. After 2 years, where he has to start to establish his own identity, and Trump himself has fits of perhaps jealousy or his own personal opinion. So there could be friction, but that will be at least 2 years out.
Okay. Frank, I'm curious. You were there for the glory days of the Republican Party with President Reagan and the shiny house on the hill. I'm curious, what do you make of the Republican Party today?
Well, it's changed a lot. It's changed a lot. Some of this is welcome in that it has greater reach in working class population, and Trump, to his credit, has also picked up support in the African American and Latino community. So some of that sort of demographic broadening appeal, I think, is very good news. I think an area that concerns me is that Republicans historically had been the responsible internationalist, respecting treaty relationships, respecting the alliances, promoting trade, and Trump has really pulled back from that traditional international role, and I think there's a potential risk in that shift.
Okay, well, just a final one here, Frank, and we're looking across the aisle here, but there are leadership woes. They are back for the Democrats this morning. Adam Schiff, he's now called for Biden to step down. What do you think happens for the Democrats from here?
Yeah, that issue about Biden's fitness for office is not going away. It sort of took a vacation for a week because of the assassination attempt and now the Republican convention. But the underlying question about is Biden simply too old to do the job, it remains an issue. And I think we're seeing a decaying orbit. So I don't see Biden winning the election. I think he doesn't really have a path to victory. But there is a chance that they can change horses and get back in the game. But it requires something from Biden to go along with it. So when Biden realizes this and fully develops self-awareness on this point,
well, you sort of,
we're a few weeks away from it.
Sorry, Frank, you sort of had this with Reagan, didn't you? Towards the end.
Elements of that, but Reagan only, at the time he ran for re-election, there was questions about his age and his suitability. He made a very nice joke about it at the first debate. He put it to rest, and he was quite a bit. He left office at 79, so he left office younger than when Biden is going to start a second term, right? So I don't think anybody would have said to Reagan at the end of his second term, are you good for one more term? I think you say that's it. It's over.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Frank, good to chat this morning. Appreciate that. We'll talk to you again soon, I hope.